Welcome to the Board Wrap-Up Show. I'm your host, Sean Anderson, and this is our monthly visit with Dr. Pennington right after the month's school board meeting. And Dr. Pennington, an exciting time for 18 employees of Ponca City Public Schools. They're retiring. I'm sure many of them have looked forward to this. Is that a high number or is that a low number? What is it?
It's probably a little low traditionally, especially on the certified side, which would be our teachers and administrators. I have to count it up here real quick. We had 12 teachers and administrators, which is, I've been here, we've had some years we've had 15 or 20 of those. Mm-hmm. But just some names, which some of our people will probably recognize. Chuck Behay, who's been an assistant principal at the high school, but been involved in the Ponca City Public Schools, our school system and the career tech system here for almost 35, 40 years. Tamara Cheney, Patricia Allender, Dr. Julie Collins, who teaches Spanish at the high school. Lonnie Gillian, Alan Hibbler, our basketball coach, is retiring and is actually going to take a position in Kansas. Carla Kerwin, Peggy Maples, our school nurse. Lisa Reese and Marianne Sudbury. Marianne's kind of a legend. Marianne Sudbury, Judy Collins, and Chuck Behay are kind of the pillars of the high school. So they'll, it's again, when you've had people that have been in a building for, 25 or 30 years, sure, when they walk away, it is a dramatic change. Some support personnel: Neil Lamb, Patricia Marler, Connie Molinex, Norma Olson, Chris Scott, Patty Sledge, Nancy Spelbesh, and Marcia Began are all people that are leaving our support staff. And so obviously, the thing about that meeting is there's some people in that audience who have big smiles. That's the retirees.
Right.
I mean, it's a tough decision to make. I think that every year we have people that that indicate to us they're going to retire and don't, and people that wait to the last minute and tell us it's always a tough decision, but my experience has been is when somebody finally comes to that point and they make that decision, it's almost like a sense of relief.
Sure.
And because teaching is really a difficult job.
Yeah.
And working in the school system and working with kids and doing those kinds of things are, I don't think the general public understands the stress that goes on with that and the huge responsibility that you have for kids. So we're happy for them, and some of them are going to come back and substitute for us, and we're always excited when people do that because it gives them a chance to kind of continue to interact with young people, and I think that's always exciting. But a lot of them are going to travel and do those kinds of things. So again, we appreciate their service. We appreciate their willingness to invest really their entire life in the children of this community.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure you wish them well, of course, but boy, it presents challenges because you have positions to fill, and
right,
and some of these shoes are very big shoes to fill.
Right. The good news is that despite the financial conditions which we've talked about multiple times, we are going to replace these positions. We could not offer foreign language at the high school if I don't replace Dr. Collins. One person cannot teach all the Spanish courses. We have to have Lisa Reese, her position at Roosevelt School. Marianne Sudbury teaches higher level math for us. And I think that's in the past, we've had options when people retired or they left the district for a reason. We could absorb some of those positions in order to reduce spending. We've cut so much the last few years, we just can't do that anymore, which makes what's happened in Oklahoma City even more critical for us because, again, the next set of cuts we make are not surgical cuts. They're amputations is what we're talking about. So hopefully the legislature will come through and restore some funding so that we can do what, maybe not what we want to do for students, but at least we can maintain what we're doing right now.
Yeah. One of the things on the agenda at the meeting was school lunch prices,
yes,
and those prices were raised. Can you tell us about it?
Yes, I can. I have to look it up on my on my cheat sheet here. Basically, what we're doing is we're raising prices 10 cents all across the district. So and these are full prices. So if we have a student who is a high school student that pays full price for lunch, it'll go from $2.50 to $2.60. Or excuse me, that's breakfast. That's lunch, I'm sorry. And then at the elementary school, it goes from $2.25 to $2.35. A breakfast at the high school goes from $1.50 to $1.75. At the elementary schools, from $1.25 to $1.35. I mean, when you look at, if you eat out very much,
Right. That's a value.
That's a value.
It is a value.
I mean, and I know that if you're thinking about eating lunch every day at school, $1.35 times 173 days of school. But at the end of the day, it really is very inexpensive and very affordable. And if you've been to any of our local restaurants lately, you've noticed that food prices are going up everywhere.
Sure.
So, and again,
is that the bottom line? Is that why this was absolutely
well,
necessary?
really, it's the federal government requires us to do it.
Okay.
They require us to raise our prices. They tell us each year how much we have to go up. This is not, we have no choice but to do this. Again, we're aware that, especially for some families, that we have a significant number of our students who qualify for free lunch, and so
Sure.
they get a breakfast and lunch every day. We have students that qualify for a reduced lunch, so for them, they pay a little bit. But we do have some students who pay the full price, and obviously we are sensitive to that. But again, at the end of the day, you can't go get lunch anywhere for $2.60.
No,
I mean,
you
I don't know what a Big Mac is today, but it's probably $2.60 on its own.
Yeah, sure. Actually, more, I'm sure. Aside from that and the retirees, you did some general, pretty routine business, renewing some contracts and things, and these were things that are just ongoing pillars of the school system.
Probably typically for May, June, and July, we renew a lot of contracts. So, for example, Burnett Security does the security at the parking lot for us at the high school. They also pick up our lunch money every day and take it to the bank and deposit it, so we renewed our contract with them. We've had a long-running contract with Lewis & Associates for architectural services. They do all the architectural work on all of our buildings within the district, which is really a big plus for us, because typically if you're a rural school district, you have to go to Oklahoma City or Tulsa to get architectural services, and maybe those people, it's always a hassle to do anything with them.
Sure.
It's been so nice for us, especially with all the construction we've had going on the last several years, to have an architect that's basically right down the street that we can go talk to. They can come talk to us. It doesn't take a 2-hour drive to Oklahoma City to go talk to your architect about, or they come here for 2 hours and they bill you for the travel. So it's really been a very positive thing. We renewed the system that keeps track of the absences for teachers and does our time clocks and payroll and all those kinds of things. So, I mean, that was just some of the typical things that we did in our meeting.
As far as business for next year, you worked on the school calendar some professional days, and tell us how this is working, because this also has a connection to the bottom line, the school budget.
So we approved an official school calendar, I think, in either our February or March meeting. I don't know which it is, and we made that calendar under the assumption that we've typically done in the past, that we're going to have 179 days of instruction. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we're going to have 177 days of school and 2 parent-teacher conferences. Our teachers have a 185-day contract. This time last year, because of the budget situation, we actually cut the number of school days that students attend from 177 to 171, I believe. We eliminated 6 days. Now, our teachers still reported 185 days, so we took those 6 days and we turned them into professional development days. Those are days that teachers have training in. And really, the truth is, we never have enough training time for our teachers. When we did that, we eliminated the number of days that bus drivers, child nutrition workers, secretaries, not talking about maintenance groups, but custodians, the number of days that those individuals worked. and that saved the district money. And that's why we did it, because it was a way for us to reduce cost. When we made, we have we do a calendar committee at the same time every year. And so we debated whether or not we should wait until later in the year to release the calendar, but we felt like it was important that parents know when the first day of school was going to be, when the last day of school was going to be, when was Christmas break going to be, where is spring break going to be, because those dates were not going to change. And we were hopeful that we would see some movement on the state budget and we would be able to go back and restore some, if not all, of those teaching days into the calendar. But based upon the kind of the gridlock that has hit Oklahoma City and the inability to do anything on the budget, and in my belief, and I've said this here before, that I think we're probably headed for a special session, so we won't know the school budget until sometime in June, could be later.
Sure.
We decided to go ahead and make the changes to the school calendar for next year. So we announced a new calendar, so there will be 5 additional days in the calendar this year that we are not in school, that will be professional development days. We added 1 day back to the calendar. When you don't go 175 days, which is the state requirement, you can go on hours, and so to make sure the hours worked correctly without having to add any time to any particular school schedule, we added 1 day back, and that way we will easily meet the hour requirement. And so, we've always gone to school, or for several years we've gone to school longer than the state minimum, which is 175. So again, we think that having that every day that students can be in school is beneficial to them. We'll see what, we haven't got our testing back. I don't think it'll have a great effect this year. You do this for a couple of years. But I will be honest with you though, we've really liked the professional development. We like being able to bring our teachers in and have time to talk about things and to do training for them. So I would think that even going forward, when we get funding restored, our calendar may not look exactly like it looked before. We don't know what that change is going to be, but we like having built-in professional development days.
Sure. Sometimes in your job, you communicate directly with parents district-wide, especially when it's something a very important topic of concern, and that's probably one of the tougher elements of your job, but it's very important. And one of the things that is creating really not just on a state level but a national conversation is this new series on Netflix. It's called 13 Reasons Why, and Dr. Pennington, the subject is suicide, and it's a very sensitive subject. Your letter to parents, what was that about, and why is it important?
Okay. So I think it was last week. It may have been, time, you just get caught up in things.
Especially this time of year.
This time of year. So I sent a letter out to email, basically. It wasn't really a letter, but it was an email that we sent out to parents with children in our secondary schools. So that's West, East, and the high school. And in that high school, I discussed 2 things that are creating a buzz among young people. You're in the media business, you know what a buzz is. So, so it's creating. So even though maybe adults weren't talking about it, young people were. And those 2 things were 13 Reasons Why and a thing called the Blue Well Challenge. 13 Reasons Why is the one that probably had created the biggest buzz, and it's because it's a series. It's a Netflix series, and it's about a young lady who commits suicide, and she writes and tells different people why she did. These are the reasons why I've done this. It's a very popular, award-winning book is what the series is based on. It's a book that we have in our school libraries. But a television series and a book are dramatically different. Sure. First of all, the television series does not follow the book exactly. I mean, like, we've all seen a movie where we read the book and we walk out of the movie going, either that wasn't in the book, or they left, in our minds, an important part of the book out.
Sure.
And this television series is just the same. And while the producers of the series will have said that, well, we think suicide's an important issue, we want people to think about it and talk about it. I think you make a television series because you intend to make money off of that television series.
Sure.
And the more dramatic and the more you can sensationalize something, the better it is for you.
Right.
The more episodes you sell, the more money you generate.
Right.
I had a meeting with my school psychology staff. We have 2 therapists that work for the school district, and they spend lots of times in our building talking to students who are dealing with multiple issues. Some of those students are individuals who have contemplated suicide and are thinking about suicide. Sometimes it's just individuals who have problems at home. But after consulting with my staff and after reading a report from the American Association of School Psychologists, things that have been sent out by the National Association of Secondary School Principals, American Association of School Administrators, all of them warning school districts about 13 reasons why, and then also having toolkits available for parents and that kind of stuff. I decided to craft a letter to parents that shared with them the concern that we had as a district, especially for those young people who were dealing with those kinds of issues, that we thought that this was something parents needed to be aware of. And our school therapy staff, their recommendation was that adolescents, young teens don't watch the show. And there were a couple of reasons for that. One of it is because you're sensationalizing something.
Mm-hmm. So even if the intent, an underlying message, if there was an underlying message in a positive way, it kind of gets lost in the sensationalized.
Well, you're making it dramatic.
Dramatic,
yeah. And the
Sure.
other part of it was in the series, they have a segment where they paint the school. There's a school counselor involved in this, and they paint this individual as somebody who is uncaring, not aware. And the problem with that is, our school counseling staff is the first line of defense,
Sure.
and we don't want anything to happen to paint any picture or send any message that says, don't go talk to your school counselor, they don't care.
Yeah.
Because that's students who feel that way, who are in that mindset. That's one of the big issues they deal with is nobody cares about me. I can't get any help.
Right.
I don't know where to turn. And that was just for us, that was just a real warning sign. The Blue Whale Challenge is another thing that's a buzz among children or young people, and it is reported to be a social media post. There's a website you can go to, and they present challenges. And these challenges, that if you complete all the challenges, the last challenge is to commit suicide. Now, kids are talking about it. Whether it's real or not, they're talking about it. I tried to do the best research I could do to determine whether or not it was actually real or not. I personally don't think that it is, but the bottom line is young people are talking about it. And the thing that we want parents to understand, look, it's harder to be a parent today than it's ever been. And there are, even when we were growing up, we might dare a friend to do something.
Right.
That was not the smart thing for that person to do.
Right.
But today, because of social media, those dares are getting more and more explicit. I'll just give you an example. We had a situation early in the year where there was this thing that went out in social media, and it said, "Hey, do your friends care about you?" So we had a young person at one of our elementary schools that sent a text message to her friends that indicated, I hope you'll miss me. I'm not going to be around after tomorrow. I want you to know that I love you, all this kind of stuff. Well, the young lady who sent that out didn't show up at school the next day. So we have a classroom of students, elementary students, friends, who saw that the night before. They come to school the next day, this young person's not there. They're crying. They're upset. This young person's not there. They think their minds are, she's done something to herself. The young person's parent didn't know. The little girl told her mother she was sick. Mother went on to work. We can't get a hold of anybody. So we're in this crisis mode and find out that the little girl's at home, and she had just sent this out because she saw something on social media that said, well, do this because you'll find out how many people care about you. So there are lots of these things that are going on.
Right.
And, when we find out about them and we find out that they're credible and we find out that they are creating a buzz among our students, then we're going to let parents know. And sometimes people think that's a good idea. Sometimes people think that's not a good idea. But I just, my position is I have an obligation to let parents and guardians know, and then what they do with that information is up to them.
Sure.
So anyway, but it's just, again, I've got to the point anymore where I'm not surprised anymore when I find out about something that is coming to students through social media that is harmful to them or may lead them to do harmful things. And I don't know how we protect our kids.
Well, some tough issues. Let's wrap this up, if we can. Graduation. Just we've talked about it before, but just to recap, the plan for graduation.
Our plan is that May 19th is going to be a beautiful, sunshiny day.
That is going to be the plan.
That is the plan.
We certainly hope.
But
if not, there is a backup.
But if not, we will have graduation at First Baptist Church.
Sure.
Graduating seniors have received tickets, rain tickets.
Sure.
For that event. If you have more people coming to graduation than your student has a rain ticket for, there are a couple options. Number one, it'll be live streamed, so you can watch it on your computer. We will have it live streamed to the Howell Auditorium, so you go to the Howell Auditorium and watch it. Or you can barter and trade with students who have tickets who don't have as many family members coming.
Right.
So again, I'm not even letting myself look at the forecast until next week. I'm just, I'm going to be positive, and it's going to be a beautiful day, and it's going to be sunshiny. We're going to have a great night.
Not even a question.
Not even a question.
Yeah. Well, let's certainly hope, and we've certainly had many graduation years like that. So let's hope for another one this year.
Let's hope for another one.
But the plans are in place just in case, and of course, that's going to do it for this edition of the Board Wrap-Up Show. Dr. Pennington, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
And until next time, every month we visit with Dr. Pennington in the days following that month's school board meeting for Ponca City Public Schools. Thanks for watching the Board Wrap-Up Show. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Until next time.